You're listening to Engaging Early Learners. I'm Rachel Glassman, special education teacher and resource creator. This podcast is your go-to for classroom strategies and teaching support that you can actually use. Whether you're on your way to work or heading home, I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 3, The Power of the Reset. So we have spent the last 2 episodes talking about building systems that prevent behavior struggles. But let's be real for a second. You can have the best visual schedule in the world, the clearest directions, the tightest transitions, and a student can still have a massive meltdown at like 8:45 in the morning. So we've all been there, right? A chair gets flipped, or a student screams, or a lesson just completely falls apart, or a little friend is just not listening. And as a teacher, there's this heavy feeling that follows. It's the like, well, the day is ruined, or like, oh, that's how this day is going to go, right? We've all been there. You feel the tension in your shoulders, and like the kids are kind of on edge, and you're just counting down the minutes until lunch, or honestly, until you're driving out of the driveway of the school. So today we're going to talk about the power of the reset, because the difference between a bad morning and a bad day is a system for starting over. And today is about how to bring the room back to center for your students and for you. And I think that this is really important for us as teachers. I know at least myself in my ERI classroom, I talk to my students a lot about the power of turning it around. Like even when they do have a moment at 8:45 in the morning. We don't want to ruin our day, right? We want to have a good day. So how can we turn this around? It's okay that this happened, but how can we turn it around? So this episode is really important for myself to hear again, but also for you all, because I want to make sure that we know we can have that turnaround too, or that reset. So strategy number 1, the classroom reset, like that collective breath. So when a big behavior struggle happens, our nervous systems for even the kids in that room just went into alert mode. They're looking at you to see if they're safe. So the strategy, the mid-lesson pivot. If things feel chaotic and they just feel like they're not working anymore, I want you to not try to push through, especially if you're like in the middle of a math lesson. Do not feel like you need to just push through. You need to stop. And the phrase that you can say, everyone, look at me. We're going to take a 30-second reset, or we're going to take a 2-minute reset, or we're even going to take a 5-minute reset. And then the action you're going to take is you're going to do a breathing exercise together. You can put on a YouTube video if you don't feel like having to lead that. There's thousands on YouTube, but you also could just do it yourself. You could do finger breaths if you're on Spotify or listening and not watching. Then you can't see me, but I am tracing the outline of my hand with my finger on my other hand. And you could take deep breaths while you do that. While you go up your finger, you can breathe in. And when you go down, you can breathe out. So you could do that with your students. You can do all different types of breathing with your students. Or again, just turn on a breathing video. Then the verbal reassurance to make your kids feel safe. You could say, that was a really tough moment, but we are all safe. We are okay. And let's try that transition one more time. Or let's rewind. I love saying rewind to my kids. Let's rewind, press play on your pretend remote, and let's start again. And like, that's okay. You just lost, like, quote, lost a couple minutes of your lesson. But guess what? If you had kept going and pushing through, you would lose a lot more minutes that you don't even know about. So by doing this and kind of having that reset moment, you're signaling to their brains that this like emergency that they might think is happening is over. If you don't reset the collective group, that high cortisol energy is going to sit in the room and cause definitely a bunch of more struggles before it even hits like an hour later. So make sure you have that collective reset, and it's good for you too, and then you can move on. Strategy number 2, the individual reset. So that like clean slate language that I want to make sure we are trying to use. So let's talk about the student who had the struggle, right? Once they are regulated and calm, and remember, we don't do this while they're still in their moment. They need a bridge back into the community. So how can we help them get back into our classroom community where they also feel safe and welcome and ready to rejoin? So the strategy, like the check-in, without the lecture is a good one. So most kids feel deep shame after a meltdown. They feel embarrassed. Like they kind of want to hide away because of what just happened. They know it wasn't the right thing to do and they know everyone was watching. Shame can lead to more acting out because they feel like they've already failed the day, right? So the language that we can use, we don't want to say, "Why did you do that?" We can say, "I'm glad that you're back with us. I'm ready for a reset. Are you ready for a reset? Give me a thumbs up or down if you're ready for a reset," if they're not even ready to speak yet. And then the visual that we can use, I like keeping lots of visuals in my classroom, but you can use something like a physical reset button. That could be cute where they can actually press it. But you also could just use a simple thumbs up or down visual. You can use a simple green or red where they can point to it if they are ready or when they feel ready to try again. The button or these visuals are good physical representations of a clean slate. It tells the child like your behavior was super hard, but our relationship is not broken and we want you here and we want you to reset with us. That's really, really important. Strategy number 3, the teacher reset and regulating yourself, because as much as I'm going to talk about strategies for our kids on this podcast, I'm just as much going to talk about strategies for us as teachers on this podcast. So this is very important. And right now, since I am in an ERI classroom, this is extremely important for me and my staff in my classroom. But we need to be able to reset as well. We are human beings. We have feelings. We have emotions. We have nervous systems, and we need to be able to reset after a tough moment. So the strategy number 3, the teacher reset, is very, very important. So you cannot co-regulate a child if you are dysregulated, period. I'm going to say it one more time. This goes for your students. This goes for your kids at home. This even goes for other adults. So let me rephrase it. You can't co-regulate anybody if you are dysregulated. So if your heart's racing and your jaw is clenched and you are not okay, the other person can feel it. The kid can feel it. The student can feel it. So the strategy, the micro break system, hear me out. So the tapped in partner, if you have a co-teacher or other staff in your room or a neighbor teacher, have like a reset signal. It could be as simple as a thumbs up at the door. It means I need 2 minutes to breathe in the hallway. You can have a sensory reset. So keep a cold water bottle or a specific scent like lavender or peppermint at your desk. Taking a sip of that cold water forces your system to reset, like literally. Or taking a sniff of that lavender, that peppermint, even putting on a good scented lotion and just like a quick reset. Or a hand sanitizer, because sometimes we definitely need that after a behavior occurs. You are a human being. You're not a robot, even though sometimes we feel like we are in robot mode. You are not a robot. If you need a minute to compose yourself after a hard moment occurs, then take it. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean you can't handle it. It doesn't mean that you're not ready for when it happens again in 10 minutes. Modeling that self-reset for your students, for your own kids at home, is more valuable than any worksheet you're going to give them that day. So being able to model the reset for yourself will make our kids want to reset as well. It's like when you model apologizing. I love apologizing to my kids when I make a mistake. I love saying I'm sorry to them when I've made a mistake. Why? Because I love doing that because it shows them adults can make mistakes too. Adults can say sorry too. So it's the same thing here. Adults can reset too. We can need a reset. We can feel overwhelmed too. And it helps make that connection. Strategy number 4, the circle back. So repairing that harm. So a reset isn't just about ignoring what happened. We're not going to pretend like it never happened. It's about repairing it once everyone is ready. And everyone includes the adults and the kids. This is that restorative system. So later in the day, maybe at the end of a playtime when the kids are more relaxed or during a quiet moment, I want you to circle back with that student because the goal is, what can we do differently next time so that transition, or so that moment doesn't feel too stressful for you? Or what can we do so that that doesn't happen again? What can we do so that you don't feel overwhelmed in that moment? Okay. So come up with the goal, and you're going to state that at the beginning. Like, what can we do so that? Then the commitment part. I'm going to try to give, this is an example. Let's say the kid is having trouble with transitions. Here's my commitment to them. I'm going to try to give you an extra warning, and you're going to try to use your break card if you need it. Deal? Deal, hopefully. This moves the struggle that occurred from a failure to a learning opportunity. It reinforces that idea that the system can be adjusted to help them succeed. I'm willing to meet you halfway if you can meet me halfway. I can adjust our system. I can adjust our routine if you can meet me halfway and try your best as well. It is never too late. So in closing, I want to discuss, it is never too late. The biggest takeaway I want you to have today is this. It is never too late to reset your day. If it is 2:20 and you are in your last period of the day trying to teach, or in your last period of the day just trying to transition to something, and your dismissal is in 30 minutes, you are allowed to do a reset. You are allowed to do a reset, okay? I'm telling you that. You're allowed to do a reset so that you have a successful last 30 minutes, if that's all it is. Do not let that hard 15 minutes at 8:45 in the morning steal your joy for the rest of your day. Reset your room, reset your students, and most importantly, reset yourself, okay? You can have that conversation with that student no matter what time it is, even if it's before they leave, and make sure that everyone is reset, because you all want to go home okay. You want to go home relaxed and ready for the next day. You are doing the hard, loving, heart-centered work that you are doing because you love these kids. You got this. Keep showing up, and I will see you next time.